And we are live. Acquisitions of knowledge begins with simple fundamental idea that expands to broader and more complex concepts. You're listening to No BS with us. This is episode number 2, and I'll be your host, Clifton, also known as the No Life Kid. I'm here with a more talented colleague that cuts no BS, Robert, also known as what I call a Mr. Knowledge. Our last uh, our last episode, we talked about science, a little bit about the solar eclipse and things to expect on that. We're going to change the topic a little bit and talked about the new iPhone X or iPhone 10. So let's go ahead and get started. Mr. Robert, how you doing, man?
Oh, pretty good.
That's
Have you
good.
been?
And you know what? I had a lot of mixed feelings today because September 15th was the death of our beloved Cassini. Unfortunately, this morning I think it dived in at Saturn at 6:55 a.m. I believe East Central Time. But we, you remember Cassini leaving? I remember Cassini
Believe
leaving.
it, yeah. Believe it or not, I remember it was when it was leaving. I know it was a big deal and everything. It was going to get good pictures. Finally, get some good pictures of Saturn. You know, Saturn, its rings, some of the moons and everything. And I do remember it leaving. I know it took a 13-year tour of the ring planet. So we got some good pictures, some good data
Hard.
returned back, and it's kind of sad to see it go into the Saturn atmosphere, crushed, so to say. I know people were asking, well, why didn't they just bring it back or
Yeah.
just let it crash into one of the moons? And one of NASA's laws or going laws is any spacecraft cannot have any. You can't. Well, they want to be safe, not to crash any spacecraft into any planet because their microbes might exist on the skin or inside the equipment and could contaminate the ecosystem of that planet. And if that happened, who knows what would happen. We could end life on that planet if it even began to start, or introduce a life form to that planet that would be,
Right. Oh yeah.
could evolve into something else. You know, so that's why it was burned up inside into the atmosphere, well, crushed, so to say, because the pressures are so great. There's a high possibility that no type of microorganism would survive on it.
Yeah. Especially Saturn. They were thinking maybe possibly there might be some sort of microorganism life on Titan, one of its moons, but definitely not the gas giant Saturn or Jupiter.
Yeah, I think Titan may have an underwater ocean. Well, not Titan, but which one is it? They've got so many things. They've got Titan, uh, Lacretius, but yeah, it's
And that's the
Titan
one. Yeah.
has ocean. They think it has an ocean, more water than it's actually all the oceans on, well, all the water on the planet Earth. It's so much water there. So if there's water there on that moon, based off of, notice now, this is a theory on theory that we evolved out of the ocean, so we can contaminate that. So I think they're trying to get a probe or future missions. They're going to send a probe that will be able to drill through the ice and also launch a small probe to go into the water and do some experiments. But I'd say that's quite a while away. But
Yeah. And one another thing that's interesting is that Titan for the moon of Saturn, and also thinking Europa for Jupiter. is how many millions of years or how many billions of years where our sun's going to start expanding, where those moons
Out of
out there are going to be in the inhabitable zone, where a lot of maybe, for example, Europa's ice, crusty ice on top of its lakes and stuff like that, will be able to be in liquid form. That's
yeah,
pretty interesting.
yeah. This is about 5 to 8 billion years from now. I won't be around. If I am, hey, but 5 to 8 billion years from now, our sun will swell or get bigger. And what will happen, they say the outer planet or the outer moon of those planets
Right.
will warm up. Therefore, Titan, Plutus, there's so many different names. I think Saturn has like at least 30 something satellites around it. It is its own mini solar system. Um, Saturn and Jupiter is its own mini solar system. They have so many moons and sub moons and everything, and asteroids heat up and possibly start a new form of life. And we may be able to migrate there where the Earth will finally get too hot and all
Right.
the oceans evaporate and everything
Man,
when,
that's interesting.
when that time comes. But in the foreseeable future, it's hard to say. And plus, by that time, Saturn probably won't have its ring system then, because the ring system, it's 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 a scientific name for it. It escapes me. But as the rings do orbit Saturn, they finally fall into the planet, and it will not have a ring system anymore. Most of the large gaseous planets like Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, Uranus, they have
Yeah.
rings. Some of them that Saturn, you just happen, they're thick enough, they range from size as dust particles. Some of the rings look like it's smoke, but some are as big as a house. Some of the debris is as big as a house. So they got different names for the rings of Saturn. But um, like Uranus and Neptune, they have rings, but you can't see them um, without an aid of a probe or some type of high-powered telescope.
Okay.
But the ring system by that time probably will be gone. Um,
Right. Right.
so spiraling into the, we are actually getting a ring system. The Earth is actually getting a small ring system from debris of our space exploration. Um,
Hmm.
Tools, nuts, bolts, uh, uh, different debris because they'll hit each other, they'll shatter, they'll break off. Astronauts lose some of their parts and everything. And we've got actually, it's a system of rings, but it's not quite like a ring. It's more like a beehive. It's just junk floating around from old space probes, dead satellites, satellite parts they ejected, that haven't fell to Earth yet and burned up in its atmosphere. But we're getting there, and it's getting dangerous now because we can't launch any rockets or something. We have to have the airspace cleared because it's so cluttered up there. I think uh, our tracking system that is oh, I can't think of the mountain. It's Cheyenne Mountain that used to track nothing but missiles and space debris. I think it's well over 10,000, 15,000 different particles about the size of your thumb, the size of a car
Right.
around
Right.
orbit in Earth. So it'll take a while for it to fall. I know this is probably before mostly the people that I'm talking to time. I remember Skylab when Skylab was up, and Skylab, some parts of Skylab fell in people's yard. You know, this was United States' first space station,
Okay.
Scotland. And it was, I remember that, and some of the solar panels fell off, and some people picked up a fuel capsule, and it barely missed their house. I think it fell in Texas. This is like in 1975, 76, maybe. So it's about 40 years ago. So it's been a while. But
It's before Voyager 1.
most space debris will burn up, but some of it is very, very hard to burn up. And plus, it's a lot of exotic materials like palladium, titanium, not normal, well, not everyday usage material.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
That's why Cassini lasted so long. I mean, after 13 years, I think it was only supposed to last like 5 years or something like that, but it lasted 13 years, yeah.
Hmm.
But
Well,
it actually went and dived in between the rings of Saturn, which was really amazing. We
oh
got,
yeah, yeah, a few times, right? Not
yeah,
just one, I think a few times. I can't remember how many times. I
yeah,
pulled up the statistics of Cassini, all the things that it did, how close it got to the atmosphere, how fat the top speed was. Pretty awesome. I think it was like
yeah,
77,000 miles per hour.
yeah.
It's
That's
its top.
actually, that sounds like it's fast, but in space
In
terms,
space time, it's not.
they're like, it's like, I remember, this is for you Trekkies out there. Uh, they had a series that said, one guy was asking Riker, how are y'all going? What? How fast? I was going 400 miles an hour in my plane. He goes, yeah, that was like 300 years ago. But now, if you're not going 4 billion miles a second, you're just,
Oh, right, right.
you're not even moving.
Yeah,
So
because it took, at that speed, it took 7 years to get to Saturn.
yeah, and I mean, once we get to the point where we discover something, you actually have to go. People think, well, if you're traveling at the speed of light, you can get to the stars just like no time. You can't. Yeah, you can, but if it's 4 light years away, it's going to take you 4 years to get there. So you really need to be
Yeah,
traveling faster than the speed of light.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Which that's going to be another topic. Is
yeah,
that possible? Is that possible to go faster than the speed of light? That would be a good conversation.
yeah. Um,
But yeah, Cassini. One of my favorite images is where it actually took a shot of Earth through the rings of Saturn, and you could see Earth in the background.
oh,
That
really?
was Yeah, that was a good picture that I saw. It's very high resolution too.
Yeah. Cassini was launched in 1997 and it arrived there in 2004. Yeah. So it
For
was,
7 years.
yeah.
Seven
So
years.
first 2 years and then seven, yeah, first 2 years and 7 years. Um, it consisted of dozen flybys of the planet's icy moons, and remaining rocket repellent, almost said repellent. Um, finish its tour status. The grand finale was being kept, I think, by this Friday, Euclideus and its subsurface ocean. And they said they saw some signs of hydrothermal activity. And that's
Right.
only been, I think, only one other planet that had some type of volcanic activity. But this is not volcanic, this is hydrothermal. So that means it's having water geysers like Old Faithful on it. So can you imagine a low gravity like that and it spurts up? It were to spurt up water, it go from here to, well, it probably goes to outer space. all the way
Oh
up.
yeah.
There's no
Oh yeah.
low gravity, And plus, you probably jump. Let's say you jump. Let's say off 100. Well, you go to jump. You probably jump 40 foot. Where here, the longest, run and jump. What's 20, 25 feet,
Yeah, 20. Yeah, yeah, give or take.
give or take. You do that, you probably jump a mile, half a mile, because of the low gravity. That would be pretty wild.
Yeah,
Just, hey, I'm going over here. No.
that'll be interesting. Well, unfortunately, we're gonna have to change the topic because
Yes.
I'm sure we might get some iPhone or Apple fanboys and some BlackBerry fans going to watch our video, and they're going to say, "Hey, you tricked us. We're talking about astronomy
Yeah.
and Cassini." But yeah, the September 15th, we just wanted to talk about Cassini for a little bit. But yeah, we kind of stretched that a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you called and you were like, "Let's talk about iPhone 10." So I stepped out in the car and hey, let's talk about it. Did you get to see any? Well, Apple says iPhone X, and then shortly after that, I'm seeing a bunch of websites calling it iPhone 10, and they're trying to change it to 10 instead of X. So I'm kind of confused. Is it X or is it 10? To this day, I still don't know. But
Well,
have you got to check the phone out?
I haven't got to check it out because one, well, there's three reasons. One, I can't afford it.
Well, yeah, it's not out, but I meant online on the
Yeah,
internet.
well, online, yeah, and reason they're saying X and people saying 10, I think they're using the Roman number X, which is in Roman X is 10,
Hmm.
and they're getting it confused because the promoters or the people that Apple that produces it is calling it 10. So I'm going to say 10 because they're using the Roman numeral 10 to say it's what it is. But
But
X
but
is
but but Robert, let me ask this: do you speak Roman or anything, or do we live in Rome speaking
no,
Roman?
no. Our governmental system is based off the Roman government, but they're just doing that to make it look jazzy and stuff. But
Yeah, yeah, jazzy. I like that.
you're the real expert, though. What are some of the things that they stole from RIM or RIM, whatever, or BlackBerry that
Right.
that is supposed to be so spectacular for me to go out and spend $1,000 for this phone?
Yeah, and I got your text earlier this week, right after the Apple event, asking me if I was so impressed, am I going to buy one?
Yeah.
And my answer was HE double L hockey sticks, no. Um, I think that I think I think Apple hasn't impressed me in a long time.
Yeah.
Since probably the original iPhone, and they took that innovation and that leap forward, bringing in the all screen touchscreen, I should say, the all touchscreen, and and that was impressive.
Yeah.
But that was 10 years ago, X years ago, right? X years ago.
Yeah.
I'm going to type on my keyboard, hit the X button, see if 10 pops up. But you know, so I have already, my channel. I've already made a lot of videos about BlackBerry. Um, I think everybody that knows me, I've been a BlackBerry fan. I have used an iPhone before a couple times. Original iPhone and the iPhone 4. And when I put the iPhone 4 away, I never looked back. I've got a lot of friends. Everybody uses iPhone. It's like driving one car, like Nissan Sentra or Nissan Altima. It's like everybody driving a Nissan Altima, and everywhere I go, it's everybody's using iPhones. Now I'll see Samsung there now and there. You have your Apple haters and people that have seen that Apple's just so they want to control everything, and they're just
Yeah.
brainwashing things, and so those people wake up and then they'll go get, oh, I'm going to get a Samsung, you know. And Samsung makes great phones, despite the one that blew up last year. I won't say anything about that, the Note 7. But
Yeah.
I've been using Blackberries for over 10 years before even the iPhone came out. Actually, I think about 17, 16 years. I think I've been using BlackBerry and their services basically. And right now, I'm currently using the Key One, which is that came out a few months ago, and I'm impressed. Now, coming from this phone, and you know, I'm having two to 3 day battery life on heavy use, 2 days easily. Um, this phone is everything I need it to do when it comes to work. When it comes, and I know my stuff is private. It's the security that's backed up that BlackBerry takes. Um, I can't say that I'm going to spend $1,000 on an iPhone 10 that's just that has that has live emojis that you can make with your face,
Yeah.
and the cameras are now, instead of horizontally, it's vertically, and the face recognitions right now, that is an innovative thing, but I've already, it had a fail. I don't know if you watched the iPhone event. It failed on stage. So if it failed when Tim Cook was doing a demonstration on stage, yeah, I'm not very confident that it's going to be secure with me.
Now I know
Um,
some of the features that you were telling me about, as in, as if you're in one app and you need to change your app.
oh yes, yes.
No.
So the Crackberry Nation has already posted a link to that on their on crackberry.com. How they eliminated the infamous 10-year button or X-year button at the bottom.
So the
The,
home button.
the home button is now eliminated. So you have a gesture now that they put in place where you just put your thumb at the bottom of the phone and or at the screen, and then you just swipe up
Yeah.
and it takes you to the home screen. And that is exactly what BlackBerry did with BlackBerry 10. Not BlackBerry X, but BlackBerry 10 operating system. It started with the Z10 and the Q10, and then it went through the Z30, and then you ran into the BlackBerry. It wasn't the Leap, but it was the phone that was right before the Leap, the Z3, and then it went into the BlackBerry Passport, BlackBerry Classic, BlackBerry Leap, and even the Q5. I left out the Q5. All those BlackBerry phones in 2013, January 2013,
I think so. Yeah.
has that feature on it, and the multitasking where you go up with your thumb and you swipe over to the left and it brings up the BlackBerry hub, and then you have your BlackBerry your widgets that are their active frames is what BlackBerry called them.
I have a question from Patty here, and she says, "What?" Wait, let me see. She says she didn't know that the iPhone, that you could have PDF. It won't read PDF files, or you can't send PDF files on it, or something like that.
Right. That to this day, the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 7 Plus cannot send or edit PDF files unless it's through a third-party application that you have to pay for, because Apple and Adobe, Steve Jobs from Apple at the time and Adobe had a confrontation, and Steve Jobs says Apple will never have anything to do with Adobe, the company. And Adobe, of course, is the company that started the whole PDFs, and I can't remember what PDF stands for.
Oh, downloaded file.
But to answer your question, it's not just PDFs. It's Excel, it's Word documents, it's your PPT, your PowerPoint documents. On your iPhone, you are not able to. You're not able to save, edit, and to save it on your device and send it out as a document as you could many years ago, 10 plus years ago, that you could on a BlackBerry, starting with the 7520, going into your BlackBerry 5 and BlackBerry 6 operating systems, and the BlackBerry 7, obviously. All of those are able to do attachments from your device internal hardware or your storage. You're able to edit it, you're able to save it, you're able to edit it, and you're able to save it to send it out. And iPhone still struggles with that.
I have another question. This is from Justin, and it says, "What? How is it that? What's the difference? He says you can go from one application to another application without. You can go to one application, have one application that's open, go to another application without closing that application. You can run them both at the same time. Or do you understand what I'm saying? Or what he's saying? Hey, I have no idea. You have one application open.
So you have true multitasking that's
Yeah,
on different that you have on different operating systems. So BlackBerry 10, the original operating system that BlackBerry revamped and started in 2013, was really, really good at multitasking, and a lot of your bloggers and your reviewers say that that's true multitasking. Because so when you swipe out of the application, it's still running in the background. It's still there. It's not actually on pause. Where on the iPhone or the iOS operating system, when you swipe out of it, it pauses the application. It kind of puts it in the background, but it's not running. For example, if you run YouTube application on your iPhone and you hit the home button currently on the current iPhones, or even the BlackBerry, or not BlackBerry, excuse me, even the iPhone 10, you hit the swipe up feature to go to your home screen, the YouTube video stops. Where on BlackBerry 10, the YouTube video will still run in the background, and you're still able to hear the video that's playing on YouTube. Or if you're on some sort of BlackBerry Messenger or another application where you're on video chat and you swipe up into the home screen, the video chat continues where the iPhone doesn't, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Android up their game with multitasking. They have a split screen menu. So now on the latest Android Nougat, which is Android 7, you're able to hit the multitask button and you're able to split the screen in half, where if you want YouTube up top and text messaging at the bottom, you're able to share that screen and you're able to multitask. Or for example, I saw one of my favorite, Mr. Mobile. He's able to have his notes up top on the device's hardware specifications, the information of the device that he's reviewing, and he's at the bottom of the screen. He has Microsoft Word open up, and he's able to write his review at the bottom of the screen. And he was actually using the BlackBerry Key 1 when he did that.
Oh, really?
Right. So multitasking runs different ways on different operating systems, and one of the things that Apple struggles with the iPhone is multitasking, and the way that the iPhone currently multitasks is when you hit the home button twice, I think is what it is, and it pulls up a bunch of cards running across the screen. You have this card and many cards that follow it, the applications that are supposedly are running in the background. They got that idea from the BlackBerry BlackBerry Playbook. It had the same multitasking feature that was running where you see the cards in the background. But then again, they said BlackBerry Playbook, or BlackBerry Research in Motion at the time, got that multitasking idea from the infamous and legacy of WebOS, which was run by Palm, I believe, at the time. Maybe I think it was maybe Palm, but it was when WebOS that had that feature as well. And now currently, of course, Apple took it, and then now everybody thinks it's just innovation. So getting down to, I know I'm interrupting you real quick, but
No,
getting down to what Apple is inventing or saying innovation in their latest iPhone, all of this stuff is already out. You've got the only thing that's new on the iPhone 8, you have the glass back, which is the reason why for that is because they put wireless charging on it. Well, wireless charging was already out on the BlackBerry
yeah,
Z30,
yeah.
which is 2012. No, excuse me, 2014. And the BlackBerry Priv had wireless charging, and that came out in November 2015, I believe.
Yeah.
And so that was already, wireless charging's been out for
Yeah,
3 years.
it's been because I remember they had some different gadgets that would charge, wireless, just lay it down on top of something and it would only.
And I'm sure, yeah, and I'm sure many other phones had wireless chargings either during BlackBerry, when BlackBerry did it, or before BlackBerry did it. Maybe Samsung was the first one to have that on their devices. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know my history of Samsung. But then you go into the screen, OLED or AMOLED.
Mm-hmm.
iPhone says that they have a new Super Retina AMOLED display, 5.8 inches, and it has 458 ppi. And I'm looking at the BlackBerry Priv that I had 540 ppi, and it was an OLED display, AMOLED. And I'm just thinking, like, this has been out 2 years ago. So that's not innovation. 458 ppi from an iPhone, and then 540.
They call it copyization.
Copyization. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the rear camera, instead of the cameras being horizontally, they moved them vertically.
Oh, really?
And I've played around with an iPhone 7 Plus, or iPhone 7, 7 Plus. The only thing about the two cameras is that on the iPhone, is that one camera is for your normal picture taking, your normal view on other cameras, and the other camera is the zoom in. So it's just for zoom.
Oh, really? It's not just one camera. It's two cameras. One for zoom, then one.
There's two cameras, but the only advantage is one that's zoomed in. It doesn't actually have LG. Now LG uses it for a wide angle lens. It actually takes a normal 16:9 view and actually widens it up and into, it's still 16.9 view, 16:9, excuse me. But it's both cameras are taking the images and kind of spreading them out, so you're getting a
surround.
It gets a really wide view of it.
Surround.
LG does that. But the iPhone, I've played with it because I'll try to cover one camera up and it's still showing on, and then I'll cover the other camera out and the whole screen goes black. And then when I hit the zoom, sometimes it switches and sometimes it doesn't. So I was really kind of confused. I was really confused on how the camera system works on the iPhone.
What about, I know I had a question. Besides the prices, which is outrageous, I mean, it's like, I know they're trying to get as much money as they can for the product, for a product that they want. But a lot of people say that BlackBerry or RM doesn't have as many apps, as we call them, no life kit apps, games and everything. And I know BlackBerry. No life apps. Yeah. But I know BlackBerry is built for business minded, and I know a lot of not only our government, U.S. government, but I notice a lot of world governments use BlackBerry for their political leaders, diplomats,
definitely,
that are holding high well, what they call secret or top secret positions. And why is that? Well, first the apps, and then second part of the question is about the security. Could you
Well, yeah, you definitely named this. You just answered your second question by saying security. But going to your first question, BlackBerry was always a standalone operating system, and even transitioning from the original BlackBerry operating system, which is BlackBerry 4, 5, 6, and 7. For example, the BlackBerry Torch that you used was operating 6 and operating 7 when they came out with the Torch 9810.
yeah,
But BlackBerry has always created their own devices, their own hardware, and their software and their servers. And when that operating system was going on, the one for your Torch, Apple came out with their iPhone. And of course, Android came out with their operating system, or Google came out with Android as their operating system. And developers started making a lot of different applications for them. iPhone skyrocketed. When Apple came out with the iPhone as the touchscreen, people jumped on that like you would when a solar eclipse comes through United States and
I
everybody
know.
freaks
I had
out on that.
I know. I had some people ask me, it's like, you have a BlackBerry and it's touchscreen. I'm like, yeah, they've always been touchscreen. Because here's my
Yeah,
BlackBerry right here. Like,
and you've got the Z10. The Z10 was the one that carried the torch for BlackBerry 10. So
and
so when that happened, Apple's Steve Jobs spit dumped a lot of money into marketing, and the iPhone skyrocketed. But that's just for consumers. When it comes to government use, 16 out of 20 of your G20 countries use Blackberries. Not only just their services, but for their smartphones as well, because BlackBerry is the only software and hardware company today. They're focused more on software, but BlackBerry is the only company today that gives you a full end-to-end encryption, security encryption. That goes from the BlackBerry Enterprise Service, the BES, the BlackBerry Enterprise Service, or Internet Service, which is the BIS, going into your hardware, which is BlackBerry's smartphones. So you get the full end-to-end security and the full end-to-end encryption of BlackBerry. And BlackBerry 10 did that. BlackBerry 10 to this day is still the most secure mobile solution that consumers and business users can
now
do.
I have a question from Cheryl here. She says, Gizmo. Gizmo. That's the dog.
I think Gizmo had a question too.
He's always got a question. Cheryl says that she owns an iPhone and it's secure. And you're just saying that BlackBerry is secure because of you're liking BlackBerry.
Well, yeah, obviously I do like BlackBerry. Why? Because of their security. I'm a very, I would say,
The iPhone has just as much security as the BlackBerry. But I've noticed, now that's me, every time if you're looking in the background at press conferences or something like that, these people are holding BlackBerries, and I know that the Israeli government uses nothing but BlackBerries.
right.
So
So, like I said, 16 out of your 20 G20 countries use BlackBerry. The president of the United States, current and previously, President Trump, and President Obama uses BlackBerries as their devices. So when you see all his tweets at 1:30 a.m. and 2:30 a.m., if you're up, normal people would be sleeping. But I stay up sometimes, and I'll see a couple tweets go through, and I heard that Trump is tweeting again at night. He's tweeting from a BlackBerry,
oh,
and
really?
and he is actually using the BlackBerry Enterprise Server, which is the acronym is BES. Another person that tweets and uses BlackBerry servers is Abu Bakr Baghdadi, and he is the leader of
Who?
he's the he is the leader of ISIS.
Oh,
And
really?
so he tweets and he sends these crazy beheading videos and all this stuff like that. And you know, why can't we not track him down?
Well, really, seems like they should be able to track.
Yeah, so we're having a hard time tracking these guys down.
Well, really, because if you look at it, because whenever they track people down or want to get into a phone, they, you know, they came up. I know it was a couple of months back. They found the terrorist. Well, they went out and shot all the people in L.A. and they got his phone. His phone was an iPhone, and I know the police wanted them to unlock it, but it was like it was iPhone, and they said no, and it went
Yeah.
on. They went to the Supreme Court, but the FBI finally just went, I guess, to one of their guys and went in and unlocked it. And Apple wanted to know how they did it, and they said, no, we're not going to tell you. And they were like, well, you got to tell us. You know, they go, no, you have a fault in your system, and we know how to use it, and, you know, to turn on the camera, the microphones, and everything like that. So,
And that goes to Cheryl's question. You know, like Apple has a back door,
yeah,
whereas BlackBerry does not have a back door. So you get the full end-to-end encryption with BlackBerry. BlackBerry's been encrypted for more than 15 years. Apple started encrypting their messaging services only iMessage, and that's only through another Apple to another Apple. They're only encrypting those messages, I say, for the past 4 or 5 years, or maybe 4. I would say 4 years, compared to BlackBerry that's been encrypting their messages for more than 15 years. I would say almost 20 years.
so the level of encryption with a BlackBerry is like outstanding. You know,
Outstanding. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. And you got to realize, like Cheryl, I completely understand what you're saying, because you could say that I'm a BlackBerry fanboy, but I have reasons to be a BlackBerry fanboy when it comes to security. You know, if you want to talk about applications, I give it to you. iPhone is the king of applications. They have applications that make you fart, you know, so you know, I can't battle that.
yeah,
But when it comes down to receiving an email, a pushed email to me within a milliseconds after you hit the sender hits the send button, I open it on my BlackBerry, whether it's an Excel file, an XLS file, or a PPT file, or a DOC file, or a PDF file. I open it, I can read it, I can edit it, and email it back to you in no time.
yeah.
In a secure solution, mobile solution that can't be touched. And that to this day, nobody, no IT person, no government, or anyone that has knowledge in security will say that an iPhone is more secure than a BlackBerry. That's why your president uses it. That's why our government uses it. And 16 out of 20 G20 countries, excuse me, use it, except for Japan. Japan's like, we're going to use Sony, and Korea is like, we're going to use Samsung. You know, so you've got those countries that are like, it doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is that I respect iPhone for what it is. Hey, if I can run a company and sell the same phone for 3 or 4 years, just give it a little minor upgrades, and
Yeah.
millions of people buy it, heck, I would do that. I would do that. The iPhone 6, the iPhone 6S, the iPhone 7, and the iPhone 8, they have the same body
Yeah.
and the same
Really,
look.
put
4
little
years.
things. They put little things on it. Well, we got a color camera with with a finger over here, or something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
so, exactly,
major,
exactly. We did a camera upgrade, and we gave you some more colors. Oh, and it's a little bit faster. Oh, billions, billions sell.
Yeah,
And
really.
I and it's $800 or it's $700.
Yeah,
Oh, trust me.
they're
I would,
definitely in it for the money. They're definitely
exactly,
in it for the money.
exactly,
And I'm
exactly. iPhone 8. I already have so many people in my offices that are like, my daughter wants an iPhone 8. I guess I'm going to have to order it. I'm like, why? Well, it's got wireless charging. I'm like, okay. It's got a big. It's got a faster processor in it. I'm like, so you're gonna spend $799 for, or was it $799? You're $699 or $799, $799, $800 for the 8 plus. I'm already getting confused and tongue tied because it's just
there's so many iPhones that it's not. I don't know. I mean,
it's frustrating for me because I carried a BlackBerry 10 since 2013. I've been swiping up from the bottom of my screen, no home button,
really,
for
it's
4 years.
I don't know. You can see it's just like just come off there, and it just swipe up, and that's it. And you swipe to the side or whatever, and get your emails and
It's all gesture based. I've been doing that for 4 years, and then I got this guy in my office like, "There's no more button, Cliff. There's no more button. We're gonna start swiping." I'm just like, you got to be kidding me.
yeah, because it's like I think the only
It's,
thing
it's,
that you can do is swipe to the going like this on Apple. But yeah, you're right. You're definitely right.
and the face the emojis, the live emojis. There's an application, Snapchat, that does that stuff. Um, the face recognition. So Apple. I want to make this clear, and it frustrates me because they always try to pick on BlackBerry. They always try to pick on um, Motorola. Motorola is another company that I think that make great devices, and they keep picking on Moto as well. Um, or Nokia. Nokia is another one, but they want to talk smack about BlackBerry. But let me get this clear: Apple does not make their phones. There's a company in China that's called Foxconn, and they've been making iPhones for years, since the beginning of the iPhone era. And these guys started using the iPhone 10 already, and they're having problems with the face recognition that looks at your face and scans it in a 3D and unlocks the phone for you. They're saying that you could just take the phone and hold it up to your face. Another person can hold it up to your face and it unlocks the phone. And to me, that's not very secure.
Do they? Can they? What if they have like a program that you said it uses your face as security and unlock the phone? What if it's a database that downloads your face and keeps that information, and the FBI needs, let's say, some information, and they go through and run through all the people that have one or ever use one to use it as an identifier? I mean, what's stopping them from doing that?
There's nothing stopping them from doing that, because when your device stores, I do know for the thumbprint, excuse me, when the fingerprint, when you unlock the phone, it stores it on there, and it's not encrypted, and it's stored on their server. So I'm sure the same way when they scan your face, it's going to be the same way. And you
Here's
know,
another question though. What if they do have a terrorist? Terrorist has an iPhone, just like what it does, and the terrorist doesn't survive the outcome. they need to get in their phone, all they have to do is just go like this. Even the person is deceased, they can
Right.
get back and get into the phone without having any intervention or a warrant or a something to say, well, we need this information off of this phone. They just go like, okay, it's unlocked, and
Right.
then go in and get.
Yeah. Yeah. The only.
I can understand that for law enforcement, but still, that still it borderlines on the invasion of privacy because now they don't have to get a search warrant. They can just go ahead and do it. You know, they could probably just take a. I wonder if they could just go, well, if you don't tell us what you need to know, because I know sometimes when people are arrested or anything, they take their phone and they go on their phone without the person knowing it. Now they can just go like this, you know, get that image and get it,
Yeah.
So,
I
um,
was actually talking to a few Apple guys right after event, and I mentioned something about that, and I also brought up the question like, what if you have identical twins? Will it be able to?
really, can it
Yeah.
tell the difference?
Yeah. And then they said, well, you just can't be sleeping or you can't be dead because you got to have your eyes open. Your eyes have to look at the screen for it to unlock. And I'm just like, well, you can always open up their eyes, you know,
You
but
can just go, it's just, you keep them back. I mean, but if you really want it into the phone, I mean, there's no such thing I could see as there's no such thing as a secure, super secure device. The only time we're going to get that is probably when we get into quantum computerized type thing. And right now, our knowledge of quantum computing is like, I think they've got quantum computers, but the best they can do is like 3 plus 5. It hasn't gotten to the point where it's like, you know, where it could say, okay, I can take this into effect. Then what is the
Mhm.
possible outcome? The possible outcome is this. Actually, it can actually become a living brain, but that's far off unless the government has invented something a lot better. But I know it's one. I think it's IBM. They got one. I forgot its name. It's not Cosmos. It's a name.
Cosmos.
They named the computer something, but
I know what you're trying to think of, though.
they named it something. It's like, and it's supposed to be like, oh yeah, it works on quantum theory something. I was like, okay, yeah, and you know, I'll never afford it. It's like a
Yeah,
craze.
security is something that you can only be so secure when it comes to the things that you do on the web. If you don't want to, if you want to get beyond secure, then you probably need to get off the web, right? So
Really,
so you do have, but BlackBerry is you can't jailbreak a BlackBerry like you can an iPhone or other Android devices. You can jailbreak those, but so many hackers, professional hackers, tried to get into a BlackBerry and try to jailbreak it or try to root it, and to this day, no BlackBerry has ever been rooted. Even the BlackBerries that started running Android applications in the Android operating system has still haven't been rooted. So I don't know how many years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, this company called Black Phone. I can't remember who makes those, but the Black Phone was announced, and it was announced the most secured smartphone, and they were kind of taking a jab at BlackBerry, saying that it's the most secured, and professional hackers broke into that phone less than 5 minutes. They've already rooted it and broke into it, and and then so BlackBerry came out with the BlackBerry Priv. The BlackBerry Priv runs Android 6, and or at the time it was 5, but Android 6, and it runs Android applications. So they were like, oh, so let's try to get in this phone. And they have tried for 2 years to get into that phone, and they finally gave up. But I know like the first year they tried to break into that phone and break it down, and it can't. It's got a hardware boot of trust. The DTEC application monitors all your privacy and all the things that are going on in your application.
Oh.
And of course the encryption that's behind the BlackBerry Priv is great. And I can't say anything. I can't say anything negative about BlackBerry's security.
Yeah.
They've gone above and beyond in security. They're just not trying to catch up in security. I could say one thing about BlackBerry is their security is on point. They are the leader of secure mobile solutions.
Yeah.
And you know, with Apple, with the iPhone, they are the leader in applications. If you want to, like I said, if you want to download an app that cuts your grass, you know, I'm sure you can find something. You know, they have an application, or at least makes you think that the iPhone cut your grass.
Yeah,
you know,
I can see that. You know, I can see them.
You know, it's but
as you say, like
I just can't see myself spending, you know, 9.25% tax on top of $1,000 on a phone that does nothing more than what my BlackBerry Key 1 does, other than like animated emojis and
got to have those. You know, you have to have those.
I don't want those, because I don't want to be one of those guys sitting in a restaurant that's trying to send my wife or send my mom or dad a emoji, a poopy emoji that's like, you know, making some goofy face, and I look up at everybody in the restaurant and they're looking at me like I just farted or something, you know. No, that's not for me. That's not for me.
Oh, but that is so true. But
yeah, so I've heard I'm hearing that you're thinking about upgrading your BlackBerry and checking out BlackBerry Priv or BlackBerry the DTEC series, or
the Priv, the Leaf, and the DTEC 90 or whatever, or 50. I think it's DTEC 50.
DTEC 50, and the bigger one is the DTEC 60.
Yeah, okay, but I like the one that you have. I'm thinking about getting one like yours, though, because I was looking at.
Oh, this the Key 1.
Yeah, because I don't want. Well, I don't like virtual keyboards because I have fat fingers, and whenever I try to text anything, it all comes out. And if it wasn't for the voice dictation, I love the voice dictation on this, because I can just blah blah blah. It may not pick it all up at the first, you know, because I have that southern drawl and that accent, and sometimes that I don't pronounce my words like I should, and it doesn't pick it up. And I go back and straighten it out, but still, you know, I like the one with a real keyboard that I can touch. I know, and with a virtual one, I'm not that clumsy with it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
yeah, and you came from the Torch, and it had a pretty good slider keyboard to it.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. The virtual or the voice dictation thing is a nice feature. I don't use it quite often because, man, me on this keyboard is like white on rice. Yeah, you know, yeah. I'm like I pan emails out on this phone like I'll go to so I have my job, you know, the office that we're in, and of course on Tuesdays I have to go to our customer basically, and everybody's packing up their laptops, you know, shoving it in their backpacks and getting their keyboard and mouse and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I just bring this. You know, they got a big backpack going into to the customer, and and they're
Right.
just like huffing and puffing because it's like, you know, their laptop and their chargers and all that stuff are in there, and I just carry this,
Yeah.
and they're just like, you know, where's your computer, where's blah blah blah, you know, where's your charger, you know, where my laptop's dying, you know, you got the chart, you know. I'm just like, no,
Yeah.
I'm using this, I'm using this, and it's in my, you know, this
And you
last
might
two
take
this
off.
this
Oh, another thing I wanted to ask:
what's that?
does uh, does the iPhone 10, does it have a macro USB port, like you know, go in right here so you can actually, if you have a screen, you can.
So from what I'm hearing, that's a very good question because I've the last few months I've heard iPhones, the new iPhone 10 is going to be a USB-C port charging, and right now, currently, that's the fastest charging um,
No, I'm not talking about
cable.
charger. USB port. You know, like you want to display something on your
Well,
computer.
yeah. To answer your question, the USB port is what is also going to be used to charge it. And to answer your question, the USB does not exist on the iPhone. Just to go ahead and give you that answer, it does not exist. I heard that it was going to exist, that they were going to have a USB for computer hookups, for monitors or for charging. But from what I hear, the USB C or micro USB does not exist on iPhones. I think they're still going to use the no life um, the lightning cable, the no life lightning cable that nobody else uses.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to use. And I've heard that the battery on the iPhone 10 is worse than the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone 7 Plus.
Hmm.
Um, so that's going to be kind of interesting to me. Is you know, you currently have an iPhone 7 Plus, the big one, which has decent battery life from what I hear, and they buy the iPhone 10 for, you know, $1 billion, and it's going to have a worse battery performance than what your previous phone had. You always want to get a phone that has better battery life, right? We all
Yeah.
don't want to go to, you know, we're going to go to Six Flags, and then we're going to go hiking after that, and then your phone dies, and then you're like stranded because you got a flat tire and it's on the sidewall, and then your spare tire um, doesn't go on because you left your jack at home. You know, so your phone's dead. What are you going to do? So you always want to. The one thing that I appreciate, that the number one thing that I want in a brand new phone is excellent battery life. Since I've had this phone, BlackBerry says, okay, we're not going to make the biggest screen, the nicest screen like they did with the Priv. The Priv and the DTEC 60 had amazing displays. We're not going to make a $799 phone or $699 phone like we did with the Priv. We're going to make this phone a little bit cheaper, but we're going to put an awesome big battery into this phone, and that's what they did with this Key One. This Key One is a long-lasting marathon runner,
Hmm.
and one thing that I can say, if I could say something that from going from the Priv to the Key One, the biggest improvements between the two.
Just a moment. Just a moment. Could you hold on? Just a moment.
Yeah. The biggest improvement is the battery. That's one thing. 3505 milliamp per hour battery, and the screen is only in HD. It's not QHD. 4.5 inches display. The efficient 625 processor. You can't complain. You
Uh,
can't complain.
I'm back. I'm sorry, I had to walk off there for a second. I was talking to had to make see in the background.
That's all right. I think we're just about I think that's enough finning on the iPhone.
But
for today anyways. But that's my thoughts. I don't know if you want to add on to your thoughts before we shut this
no, I
podcast
mean,
off.
I got a lot of information from the iPhone and plus from you talking about the BlackBerry Ericssons and everything. Also, like I said, I would probably go with the Key One. I like the. It's like the keyboard I had from the 9800,
Torch. Yeah.
the 9800. I can't even think of it now. I still,
Torch.
yeah,
Torch.
I still got it, and it still charges. I still use the charger from my, you know,
That's awesome.
porch to charge my phone that I have now. And plus, it actually still works. That torch, like, all I need is I have to put it back on the network, to actually get it
Right.
to work. Otherwise, perfect. I'm probably going to use it as a disaster phone. I'm going to build a Faraday cage, put it in there, and then if anything happens, pull it out, probably get on a network and still works. It still works, and I mean it looks brand new. And I didn't even have a case or anything protector case like I have on this one, and
Yeah.
it's still great. It's held up, and I had that phone. Well, I've had it for at least 7 years,
Yeah. You've had it for a long time.
about 6, 7 years.
Not quite as long as Cassini, but you've had it for quite a long time.
I've had it a while. Yeah, it
Yeah.
works. It works fine. It works fine.
Well, those legacy Blackberries are they've always been in my heart, and so is BlackBerry 10. BlackBerry 10. My favorite BlackBerry to this day is the BlackBerry Passport, just because I was always 2 steps ahead of everyone at work. Ultimate BlackBerry for work is the BlackBerry Passport. The widescreen, how it's just optimized for your PowerPoints and Excel documents, super well, and I miss it. I still remember all the times where I worked at the time when I had the Passport. I was using it for a good year, 2 years before the Priv came out, or a good year before the Priv came out. I was light years ahead of everybody at work. They're like, "Oh, Cliff, did you see that email?" I'm like, "I saw it 5 minutes ago. I've already done my work and already sent off that email before they even came in on their devices." Passport was on point. BlackBerry Priv, fantastic phone. I love the experience I had with it. The only thing I wish about the Priv, they had the big 5.4 QHD screen, wireless charging, the slide out keyboard. I love the keyboard that was on the Priv. 3 gigs of RAM, 18 megapixel Schnauder cruise knot camera. I love the phone, but the only thing I wish the phone had was a better battery. It had the biggest battery at the time, but it had like a processor that was like soon as you turn the phone on, all the lights dimmed down in the in the house, because it was like it had like a Nissan Armada processor. It's like just energy. It's like an energy guzzler. But they got everything right on this phone. So before we end it, check out the newest BlackBerry that's coming out next month. From what we hear, that's a rumor. It's called, right now, the code name is Krypton, BlackBerry Krypton, and it's supposed to be a BlackBerry Key 1, but it's going to be a full touchscreen phone. And I know you like the
$1,000, is it?
No. So BlackBerry has changed their game when it comes to ripping people off. And I shouldn't use those words. That's more like Apple's strategy. It's like, oh, the iPhone 6 and iPhone 8 looks exactly the same. Let's bump the price up and let's have $1 million sales, 6 million sales.
You mean, is that for the, I don't know if it's for is it for the 16 gig, or what is it, 24 then 32?
It's not confirmed, but I'm thinking it'll either be a 32 gigabyte. Oh, you talking about iPhone?
iPhone 10. Because
Oh gosh, I can't keep up.
if you
I
go up
can't
in,
keep up.
if you
I think
go up,
now, I think they started 32 gigs now. It used to be like 16, but I think it's
but
32, and then they have a 64.
yeah,
And I
but
and I think the iPhone 10 is like 64 gigs or 128 gigs, and I don't know, to be honest with
but
you.
isn't the rule of thumb is the more gigs you get, the higher the price? Because
Right.
if it's 16 starting at $1,000, then if you get a 32 or 64, a 64 gig, what is it? What is it going to be? $1,100 or 1,200?
Probably. I'm not sure exactly what the storage is on it, but
Going to be like,
I don't even know if it's just one size. I don't know if the iPhone 10 is just one size or they have a, a storage bump where you get a normal one and then you get one that's higher. I'm not sure. I know the iPhone 8 have different storage, 32, 64, 128 maybe, but I'm not sure about the iPhone 10.
because I was wondering. So I'm going to probably have to watch the video of them, giving out their tweets and how it's going to be so wonderful and
Yeah.
their sell pitch and everything. Works out. But at this point, no, I don't see myself spending $1,000 for a phone.
I don't either, and I think that makes two of us. But hey, I think that's it for today. We've hit our limit, and we'll talk more iPhone talk when things come out closer. We'll give us hopefully we'll get some more questions on YouTube as we're transitioning to post more videos on YouTube, and I think we've had a good conversation.
I think we did too.
All right,
So
let me go ahead. All right, we'll go ahead and cut this off, and we'll see if we can get some feedback and see what else we could talk about for the next podcast.
okay, then.
Have a good one. I'll see you, buddy.
You too. Bye.